bitches.
Broadcast.
Hello and welcome to the broadcast with Amanda, Shandy, and Colleen. My name is Colleen.
My name is Amanda.
And I'm Shandy.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is season 7, episode 14, number 284, my 3 favorite numbers in a row.
Oh,
Wow. So this is going to be a very good show.
It's going to be a lucky show. It's going to be a lucky show.
I just feel it. Something good is going to happen.
Me too. Speaking of lucky shows, we have a special guest joining us. Hello to the chat out there. Well, let me bring in our special surprise. It's Kolkie!
Hi.
Hey.
Hello!
It's me.
You gotta do your hello, your world famous podcasting hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Oh, I'm out of practice for it. I haven't done a good hello in a while.
Say it again. Try it again. Once more.
Hello.
I referred to Jessica was upset that when I was calling out former MU listeners of our peeps, that I didn't say her name. She's like, I know, you just forgot about me. And I was like, Jennifer, I could never forget about you. And she left. So for context for anybody out there, we're Shandy and Amanda, back during the very ending times of Media Junkyard, you guys did this thing where you could like pay to be a guest or something, right?
That's right. Sorry, I just had a work call that was coming through us, making sure that wasn't interrupting. Yeah, so we were trying to find ways to like sponsor the show as much as possible. So we tried things like the swear jar.
The swear jar. I forgot about
the swear jar where people could like give us a certain amount of money, and each dollar would allow us to swear a certain amount of times that episode. And then we basically were like, yeah, if you want to be a guest, you can just pay to be a guest, and then with all the we were just donating the money. It's not like we were pocketing it or anything like that. And so we just had people who were like, yeah, I'll sponsor the show for a week. I'll show up. And there was a couple of times where like we were very overbearing, and people didn't know when to jump in, and so they just sat very quietly on the line and didn't say anything.
Oh no!
Was that Jamie Hill did that too, didn't he?
Yeah. So
poor Jamie Hill sat there for like 3 hours and like barely said a word.
Oh, Jamie.
And this was pre-streaming, this is still when everything was strictly
this was
audio.
audio. What the fuck was it?
Skype?
Oh no,
Skype.
It might have. No, it was a shit. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's gonna drive me nuts. But
so we're sitting there, all of a sudden someone chimes in, and we're like, "Holy shit! Who is that other person here?"
No, that was Jamie. That was Jamie. Yeah.
We completely forgot Jamie was on the line.
At one point, it was, I think Jessica was there, and Rob called her Jennifer. And
repeatedly called her Jennifer.
And awful. I'm sorry, Jess. So anyway, memory lane. There we go. Ro is joining us. We're live for the Hangout level patrons tonight. She says, hello! Great guest.
Hey, Ro. Just for context, if people don't know who I am, I'm Chris Kolkie. I am a former host of Media Junkyard. Now I'm just like a GBF, which normally would stand for like gay best friend. But in this context, I'm a gay broadcast friend.
That's true.
For the evening.
Mm-hmm.
You're our honorary broad, a.k.a. gay broadcast friend.
I appreciate that.
I love it.
I didn't give people context last time, and I got in trouble for calling a lot of people girl. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, I get to do that.
Excellent.
It says it on my gay card right here.
I have proof.
So do you have to
Yeah.
renew that like every so often, or no? I'm just kidding.
A little bit, and you need to like show proof of being gay. You know.
Well,
Not as strenuous as renewing your passport, but a little more than your driver's license.
Yeah. It's a nice
Yeah.
balance in between.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
None of which is as stressful as getting a driver's license and license plates in the state of North Carolina.
Oh my God, because you have to,
That shit like notarized. Like, are you fucking
and you have to
kidding
do it
me?
like 24 hours apart, right? Is that still a thing?
Well, I hope not, because I mean, I hope it can be more than 24 hours. But yeah, I did one, and now I'm waiting to do the other. I also registered. I had registered to vote when I got my driver's license.
Oh, good.
But then I was like, well, how do I get an absentee ballot? So I hope I figured that out today, but it's only for the one time.
Oh yeah, no. So
What?
because we have early voting, and we have like a month of early voting. So really, you should just do early voting instead of absentee.
See, back in California.
It's different here, though.
Oh, here we go.
I know, right? Here we go. Back in my day.
Sorry.
Back in the liberal bastion of
I'm here.
California.
I mean, I'm here in
first of all-
California. I voted already.
When I moved to California, I took an appointment, went to the DMV, changed my license, got my new driver's license plates, all at the same place, all at the same time, in a very short period of time. Was not very complicated. Didn't have to get anything fucking notarized. Didn't have to like have shit signed by both me and Frank. That's the other wrinkle.
Wait,
very
because you
strange.
need to have need to have a witness. So
Because-
they took the notary
because
thing.
we both own the car, so we both have to sign.
Oh yeah.
It's just fucking crazy. And then I think like at the same time, I like registered to vote and then asked to receive, vote by mail. And I did that one time. And then for 10 years, my ballots just came in the mail.
Yeah.
But every single fucking time.
Well, honestly, and like
So I thought that's what I had signed up for today, but apparently not.
no. So honestly, really, early voting is super easy here because you don't have to go to your polling location. You can go anywhere in the state for early voting.
But then
That's cool.
But see,
Yeah,
I
it is.
thought
It's very
I-
helpful because if
I
one
don't
is
really
like
understand because if you receive your absentee ballot a couple weeks in advance, and I really don't understand what the difference is between absentee voting and early voting. Just that absentee is even more convenient because it comes to you.
I don't know. I mean, I think they count absentee last, and early
Yeah.
voting is counted first.
At least that's
as
how
a
it used
part
to
of the
be.
day of. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because
I mean, technically,
absentees,
as long as it's all counted, like
it is, but
then I don't care, right? Like,
it
I
is.
just like
but
I just like the ability to like take the time and read through the
Yes.
pamphlet and like
yes.
understand.
Do we get a
people's
pamphlet?
positions.
yes,
Oh, yeah,
I
do
It's
you
would-
get a
October. Where's my pamphlet?
so usually
what
it'll
I'm voting
be
on.
in your local newspaper, but I got a pamphlet
In the
mailed to me.
newspaper.
I got
don't get the newspaper.
I got a pamphlet mailed to me, and Jay did too. Oh gosh, it must have been maybe 2 weeks ago. And it was all the judicial candidates, like, and all the different like judges' ballots from Supreme Court down to like district court. And then we have a local newspaper that is like free everywhere. It's called the Indie Weekly, and it's your like liberal indie newspaper. And every election season, they do a giant issue where they spotlight all the candidates, and then they make their pick of who they endorse, and it's always like the most liberal candidates generally, unless there's like somebody's like super problematic, and then they'll point it out and be like, although this person has a great record, blah blah blah, they're about to be caught sexting their mistress, so
Pick your poison.
Okay,
Well,
two things here though. Like one, the Indie Weekly, great name for a newspaper. If you're in Indiana,
no, it's
Just
independent.
Independent.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, but it's a
Ah.
little like, where are you in the world? It's like a local newspaper should have some clever pun on the place it's from.
Well,
I agree. It needs like the
honestly,
Bob's Burgers treatment.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And like the second piece there is just like, I love that they're like, no, we're gonna break this soon. Like they planted the story. Like, Like they're like, no.
I'll
We
have
have
you
the
There
scoop.
know.
might be something.
I'll have you know that their tagline is "It belongs in a museum." Thank you very much. Okay,
Did
not
you
a
add the thank you very
I-
much,
I
or
feel
is the
like
thank
their
you very
tag-
much part of the tag? Because I really wanted to be part
Okay,
of the tag.
not a single person got that. You guys are the worst. It belongs in a museum. Has nobody seen Indiana Jones ever?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not
He
enough
says
people
that in
have.
all the movies.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I
The
again,
worst.
again.
I thought their
don't- I
tagline
don't-
was going to be "It's the news."
But I don't want to have to go out and get some newspaper. Like I'm just for the last 10 years, it's all come to me. The ballot just,
It's just different.
th-
You live
came
in
to
a
me.
more like progressive state. We still have we
It's wild.
literally
Yeah.
just got rid of our supermajority in 2016.
No, but it's
I'll
it
be
makes
your
everything
mail,
so
just
much
be your
more
mail to you
convenient.
now.
It's like true what they say. Yeah, it makes it easier to vote because it just arrives. And then like we also get just like these pamphlets of like totally nonpartisan just information about every candidate and like their statements and like just like an explanation of shit.
You
It's
do get those.
Completely
and
neutral.
you
In the
do
mail.
get those. I wonder if I don't know actually why you haven't
Comes
gotten
to
it
you.
because I get those. I have gotten them on all the candidates before as well. But like not all in one thing. Like if you want all in one thing, you got to go
Very
to that
convenient.
newspaper.
Yeah. And then you read and then you take your time, you read over it, and then you mark your ballot. And then if you're like me,
Yeah.
you still go to like the polling place on voting day because even though it's so fucking easy, you still like forget to mail it in time. But hey, I could have,
Mm.
Yeah. That's all I'm
Also
saying.
just, like,
They
going
even
to the
send you
polling
the
place.
sticker in the mail now.
Yes.
Do they
They
really?
I
send you
voted
the
by
sticker.
mail.
Yeah, so you can be like, no, look, I still voted. I just voted by mail.
Shandy, I can if I when you're here on Thursday, I can notarize your ballot for you. I am a notary.
Oh my fucking god.
I can do it.
Wait, you guys are hanging out like on next Thursday?
No, I'm driving her to the airport.
It's like, Flat Amanda's not ready yet.
No,
So
but
we'll
I
be in the
didn't think
car
about
for
that
all of
because-
7 minutes together.
No, but for our license plates, because I was thinking like I would have to go to the bank, and I haven't changed my bank over, like whatever we bank with Wells Fargo. So it's like,
Oh, yes,
like
yeah.
to have like to tell them like, hey, this should be my home branch now.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet. But because then I was thinking, oh, like a lot of times you can get shit notarized at the bank. And so we just again for our fucking license plates.
Sorry. Well, again,
My home bank is still in New York, and I've lived in California for 12 years.
Huh.
I used to be at the Suffolk County National Bank. I am no longer there. We are at the local credit union, which actually is a
Nice.
statewide credit union. It's a good bank, Shandy, if you ever wanted to.
Nice.
And they do notarize.
I've been
But if
on
you
a-
do
I've
want to
been
do your
on a kick.
absentee ballot, I can notarize it on Thursday. Just let me know.
No, I don't have to have my. Wait, are you saying that I have to get my absentee ballot notarized?
You either need 2 witnesses to sign it or it needs to be notarized.
You're fucking kidding me.
It's so fucking stupid. Sorry, Kolkie, I cut you off. I apologize.
No,
I
you're-
would not have signed up for this if I knew it was so
So
goddamn.
just do
like,
early voting. It's so much easier.
I literally didn't know that they were different. Like
But now you can. It starts on October 20th.
I just signed up today, and so I'm gonna get.
But you can still do the early voting. You just don't turn in that ballot so you're not committing fraud.
Oh god.
Oh, say you
I
got COVID and like your trip was canceled, so you got to do early vote instead. I don't know, with your COVID. I don't know. Just it doesn't matter as long as you don't vote twice. They're not going to come after you. Sorry.
Well,
Again,
I'll
Kolkie,
get
for
it
real.
notarized. It's just
Trying to talk.
Mm.
No, the way my like idiot cartoon brain works is like just the idea of you as a notary like makes me think like I'm in this shameless kick right now, and I just think
Ah.
like you're doing these like weird backroom deals where people are like, "Can you notarize this for me?" But like post dated a year ago, and you're like $500.
Yeah, sure.
Stamp it down.
College is expensive.
College is expensive.
She got
Our
2 little
529s
babies that
are
gotta get through
down.
college.
Yeah. Thanks, Biden. My 529 is down. All right. I can only pay for half a semester, but beforehand I could pay for 1 semester for 1
Here's
kid.
hoping one of them's real good at a sport.
Okay. First of all, 2 things. 1, we're gonna definitely call this episode GBF. I had to think of the acronyms. Second of all, I have a funny Alex story. So he got home from New York today, and we were like laying in his bed, and he was telling me like, I missed you, and I did this, and I did that. And at one point, I went OMG, and he was like, OMG, what does OMG mean? And I said, oh my God, O because it starts with an O, M because my starts with an M, and God starts with a G. And he goes, oh, I thought it meant, oh my gay.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, what? He's like, yeah, because gay, like G.
Well, no, same letter. Very good.
And I was
Why not?
like,
Very sound logic.
Oh my gay.
I bet in Palm Springs that's what it stands for.
Exactly.
Oh my gay.
I was like, we could do that too. That's
Yeah.
whatever you want to do. So anyway, good times.
Oh.
OMG, GBF.
OMG, GBF. Let me write that down so I don't forget.
Yep. Oh, I love that.
Anyway. Anybody having seen anything exciting happen, or we could talk about what we're here to talk about?
Oh, I may have made a friend.
Shandy made a friend.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully.
Tell us
Like,
everything
we'll
about
see how
them.
it goes.
Guys, Jay has a
human
soundboard.
How
or
did I
animal?
make an adult friend? I really need to know.
Well, so there was a film festival in town last weekend, and I volunteered for it because
Aw, very
you know,
cool.
the thinking was like I might meet people and also get to go to movies for free. And it was super, super fun. And one of the people that was like he like works there, so he wasn't, I mean, I guess he was volunteering, but he also like works with the Arts Council. And so very cool job. Anyway, we were just like chatting, and it was so funny because like we talked a lot that day that I was volunteering, and then I was thinking like, what do I like? Do I ask him for his number? Like, is that weird? Did we talk enough? Like it. And then he was like, "Oh, like, are you on social media? Can I add you?" Yes. Thank you. But he's really cool. His wife sounds really cool. And we were talking about how Frank works at a film festival, and he was like super interested in that. And anyway, so yeah, we're friends on the socials now. I saw him the next day. They took really great care of their volunteers, just as a side note. So that was really fun. They had like an event the next day, and then yeah, we've liked each other's posts on social media. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to like message and actually like see if he wants to hang out sometime. But
This seems promising.
This does
yeah. Yeah, like I mean, you can have all kinds of different friends, but like it seems like we have a lot more in common than like some of the other people I've met, if you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
He works in the arts. He's like way into theater. He studied French. He said he doesn't really speak it anymore, but he he studied French. Like, it's just like, yeah, I think we could be friends. Yeah. It sounds like we live kind of in the same like neighborhood, so
You
This
might have
sounds
made
very-
a GBF.
Oh my god.
an SBF or a BBF. Because he's married to a woman, so
Shandy's cat is getting very jealous right now that she's
I'm
made
the
a new
only
friend.
you need. Wow.
So you guys might have seen Jay in here talking. It's A, I didn't know if the voicemail would play, and B, he has this soundboard set up. So look what I can do.
Oh.
Okay, maybe it's not working.
No, the anticipation is killing me.
Guess what, guys? I might have been just kidding.
Forget
All right,
everything I just said.
I tried. It failed. I've now hit some things. Shandy, I am so excited for you.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sorry, Call. This feels like when you give a kid a fake cell phone, and you're like, "Yeah, you could make as many phone calls as you want with it."
You saw me go like, "Oh, just do this," and he said yes, and I just did the thing that I said I was just gonna do. Oh, I didn't turn the sound up.
That's what she said.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. There it is.
Nice. There it is. I'm trying to show you. Gabby, her head is laying in my hand.
Oh, hey guys.
Oh, hi,
This
Dusty
says
girl.
broadcast. Let's see what this is. Oh, hey! The broadcast intro's on this soundboard.
Hey, bitches.
Oh!
Oh, a vintage version too.
Oh my God! Wonderful.
Broadcast.
Now listen to this. Hold on. Okay.
The five questions for Jack. The five questions.
This is
for
like,
Jack.
speaking of old school, this is older school than calling Jessica Jennifer.
Sure, almost anything goes. Five.
Oh my God, guys. I gotta get one of these in the other
questions
office.
for Jack.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I took us so off the rails. The Rocky ending is on here? How come I didn't know about any of this while I was using this office for years? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to mute myself now. Okay.
No, I think that still needs to play, and then we have to be like, and in the end, Shandy did indeed make a friend.
I did. Just in case anybody needed.
Wow, how many buttons are on this thing?
A lot. So there's 8 buttons, but there's one. He programmed 2, 3, 5 banks. So whatever
Okay.
5 times 8 is.
That's a lot.
Okay, I'm so
40.
sorry.
Broadcast Morning Zoo, brought to you by Hyundai. You just press a button.
Oh my
Phew.
God. Hey, so speaking of voting, and Florida, Greg says, I did the mail ballot. I went to put it in one of the 2 drop boxes in the county. They have removed it. Florida loves voting.
No.
Yeah, that's rough.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Rose says, during the next Rumblecast, there'll be 20 sound effects. Or 45, because I just did that math. You're welcome. Ooh, okay, anyway. Friends, choir concert, all the things.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica. No.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, it was
Bears, beats.
Beats. Battlestar Galactica. Okay, whatever. I am like 0 for 0 on. It's Dwight and The Office. It's when Jim impersonates Dwight, and yeah.
Oh, yes.
Also, Good Times Guys. Most likely not editing this show at all. So all of our awkward pauses and me trying to figure shit out is just gonna be in here and all. It's wrong.
Hey, we're doing
Great.
it live.
Do it
Love
live.
it. Love it. All our flaws.
I love all of this, but also it's like, ooh, these references are like 20 years old,
I know.
including the like, fuck it, we'll do it live.
Well,
Also, like, I don't think most people would know any, like, the next generation doesn't know these references. They'd be like, I
Well,
was born in
neither
the
did I.
year
They
2000.
better. I mean, TikTok,
Neither did I until this
TikTok
show.
resurfaces shit all the time.
Very true. But we
True.
played the We'll Do It Live for Shandy, and
Yeah.
her life was changed.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that was like 40 years ago at that point. Hey,
old
speaking
are
of
we?
shitheads, Alex Jones,
Yes.
almost $1 billion. And it was because he fucking defaulted on it by just not showing up to court. What a shithead. What an
Really?
asshole.
That was the reason?
Do you know what he was doing instead of being at court?
I
He
do.
was
He
broadcasting,
was
live.
live.
Yeah, doing something else incredibly stupid and unnecessary to society, I'm sure.
And then he asked for donations for people and said, don't worry, this money will never get to those families because I declared bankruptcy.
Gosh, such a piece of
Shithead.
shit.
Yeah.
You can't just declare You can't just yell bankruptcy. That's not how that
Bankruptcy!
Bankruptcy!
I declare.
Oh, all right.
Bankruptcy!
That's not how it works.
No.
Oh.
You also can't unclassify documents that way. I don't know if people know that.
Oh, I thought you just sat on the toilet and
Depends
went
on
like
who you
this
ask.
and blinked your eyes and twitched your nose and declassified it. Declassified. Oh, yeah, Greg's in on the joke. I declare bankruptcy. I wonder if that's on here. There's so many. It might be on here. Hold on.
Remember to make sure your husbands get vasectomies.
Also, Greg corrects my math. 8 times 5 is 40. You know what, Greg? Thank you.
For the record, I did say it.
You did.
For the record, I did not.
I was like,
I sat here
I was like,
quietly.
40.
Ooh.
Not my strong suit, doing the math in the head.
I said it before Colleen, and then when she said 45, I was like, I don't think that's right, but I'm also not confident enough to correct it. Hmm.
Oh my God.
Numbers. Huh.
Numbers. All right. So, a couple announcements and then we will move on. Unless I've cut off another new best friend story. I'm sorry.
No, that was my excitement. I think I made a friend.
Woohoo!
Very exciting.
That's more than I can say about me. So there we go.
Yeah. Same.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, but you guys like have people you know in town.
That's true.
Well, less and less. I feel like, when you're still living in New York City in your late 30s, most of your friends have left. Starts to feel a little like musical chairs and like you're like, wait a minute, where'd all the chairs and all the people go?
Very true. And let's be honest, most of my friends are you guys who are in a different state or town. Sarah, who is also in a different town but much closer, but has kids, so she can't do that. Or there are people that I go underground in sewers with. So
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
That's good bonding time, that.
it is very
Totally
good bonding
is.
time. There's no
Yeah.
cell phone service down there, so you
Your
have to
friends in the
talk.
sewers, Michelangelo.
I was like, I was trying to find the like Ninja Turtles. I was like, pizza, something with pizza.
We actually 2 of them are named Michael.
Nice.
Which thank you, Aaron, for sending us the video of the wedding ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Art.
Congrats.
Yeah.
So exciting.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, quick announcements, and then we are going to move on and talk about the movie Bros. Our next week on Monday, on Monday the 17th, we're talking about Halloween movies. I think the only definitive ones that we're talking about are Beetlejuice and what was it? Hocus Pocus 2.
Pocus 2.
Hocus Pocus 2.
Although I actually I'm going to watch The Munsters, and Netflix I got a notification today of like some whatever. I was targeted clearly. Oh, The Watcher on Netflix, which is a story about it's based on a true story. It happened in New Jersey. And this couple bought a house, and they kept getting threatening letters. You remember this whole okay? Because I knew about the story beforehand, and then when I was reading the thing today, I was like, "This." I was doing squats, and I was trying to like distract myself, and I was like, "This plot sounds so familiar. I feel like I know this." Anyway, they never found out. Spoiler alert: who was doing the things? I don't think, right? I don't know. I gotta watch the show. It pinged a memory of something I had known about a long time ago. So I might watch that, and I really want to watch Wednesday, the TV series.
yeah.
series.
When is
Wait,
that out?
What's
I think it's out
Wednesday?
now. It's the
Like
story
about,
of
like,
Wednesday
Wednesday-
Addams.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Wednesday Addams. Oh boy.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it looks super awesome.
Fred Armisen plays Uncle Fester.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And he said he didn't want it to like look corny or like cheesy, so he literally shaved his head for this film.
Wow.
my God. Oh man, it does not come out until November. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That's a
I
bummer.
thought that was a miss.
That seems like bad marketing.
Uh-huh.
It really
Although
does.
The Addams Family has always been a Thanksgiving movie.
Has it really?
Remember
there's that
They
scene,
have their Thanksgiving play that they go on.
Yeah.
Oh,
That is classic.
Right.
Oh, sorry. I guess it should now be an Indigenous Peoples Day movie. I should
Move it up to October.
Yeah.
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 I like it.
Sorry, I'm getting more texts from people who are wondering if my neighborhood is being shut up, and I'm responding to everyone the same way. No, Jack and Cindy's is though.
Yeah. You should go check in with them.
Ooh.
I'm parts of multiple group texts right now. Not multiple, their group text, and then other people that are asking me like, "Are you guys okay?" And I'm like, "Have you been to my neighborhood?" Nothing ever happens here. They're all very, very old. Thankfully, when the
And on
ambulance
days like
comes,
today,
it's
be
because somebody is
thankful for
having
it.
yes.
Very, very, very old.
Greg says Halloween Ends is now on Peacock. Oh, good. I
Past too.
might watch that too. I don't know. We got to see because guess what? I haven't watched any of them yet, and I got to watch Andor. I got to watch She-Hulk. I got to watch Rings of Power. Get in line. Halloween Ends.
I'm not even caught up on What We Do in the Shadows. That was going to be the other thing. I was like, oh, that could be something for Halloween.
Oh shoot, we were gonna all catch up on that. I'm still so
yeah.
far behind.
Did he-
Werewolf
got
at
up.
Night.
Yeah.
Werewolf at Night. I was going to say I'm excited to see Halloween Ends just because I am a Kyle Richards fan.
Oh, see, I don't know anything except Jamie Lee Curtis is in that movie.
Yeah.
So Kyle Richards was the little girl originally in Halloween.
Oh no way.
Uh-huh. And so they've been friends for all of these decades. And then they kind of like shoehorned her into this movie, from what I understand, to be like, no, get it? It's the little girl. She's back.
Maybe
I feel like you were going to say musical. And I was like, man, Halloween the musical. I'd be into that. I'd be into that.
we are like one pandemic away from that happening.
Next one. It'll be a Zoom musical too.
Right.
Ugh,
The
like
call is
Ratatouille.
coming from inside the chat. Woo! They get Zoom bombed instead of actually stabbed
Yeah.
to death.
Be careful of the delay.
This could have been an email, the scariest movie of all. Oh my God. All right, speaking of movies. Bros. So, Jay and I saw the movie on Monday night. And I saw it at Kolkie's recommendation. And then when I texted you guys that I loved it, Amanda's like, I've already seen it. And then Shandy saw it. And then we were like, let's talk about it. So
Yeah.
here
Here we are.
I was very happy that I listened to Love It or Leave It because I feel like, especially the
John
Kamala
Levitt was
Harris-
in North Carolina. I'm sorry. He
Oh.
was in Gastonia and Charlotte, knocking doors for Jeff Jackson and Sherry Beasley. Sorry. Okay.
Nice.
And
Is Gaston the mayor of Gastonia?
He
Because I feel
is.
like if he's not, it's not.
he
There
is.
should be a problem.
They named it after him, and all the restaurants just serve 5 dozen eggs. That's it.
Perfect. Solid.
Stinky.
Yeah.
Stinky.
Well, you know, let a little salt and pepper. You're fine. Anyway, okay. Sorry. Love it or leave it.
No, but especially I mean, obviously Guy Brennan, but
I love Guy Brennan.
when he quit his job and that other woman was like, "Oh, I just quit today too. I do this Kamala Harris impression that's really taken off." I was like, "Oh, I feel like I've been on the inside joke." And none of the literal 4 other people in this theater.
We were the only 2 in the theater, so I watched that shit like we were watching Shakespeare in Love. I mean, Jay was like at one point like, do you have to talk through the whole thing? And I was like, we're the only ones here.
So there were two when I walked into the theater. There were only two people there, and it was like these two friends, seemingly like women, maybe a little bit younger than me, watching the previews with their phone in front of them and the screen. And I was just like, wow, I'm gonna have just like a little boomer moment in my head where I just feel really sorry for them. Damn, I am sorry for. But anyway, they were also really they were. I think they were hoping that they would have been the two only ones, and if they had been the two only ones, then that's fine. Talk away, but.
No, I did
I
a lot
came
of
in
like,
and I
oh
was like,
no, oh, they're gonna get into a fight now. Oh, but I like him. Don't do that. No,
Well, they-
no.
Yeah,
They
we
were
had
like-
very different experiences. Going to see it, like, New York City is back, guys. We literally, like, I got the tickets like two days before, and we were like third row on the
Wow.
aisle, and it was the only two seats that I could get.
Wow.
Like,
God.
it was a full, and it was a big theater too. And like,
Holy
it wasn't one of those
shit.
little Alamo theaters. It was the big
Uh-huh.
Alamo.
Oh,
theater,
you did
and it was,
Alamo.
like,
You went for the experience.
you know, we're old. If I'm gonna friggin' schlep my ass to a movie, I want a cocktail. I want fancy popcorn. I want real food. I want it served to me. Like, I want the works.
I
do it
had
right.
two 20-ounce beers, and I had to pee, and I missed the Deborah Messing scene.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, no.
I remembered halfway through that I could have ordered a beer, and then I was like, "Fuck, that sounds really good right now," but I'm not gonna like leave halfway. God damn it!
Oh,
It
no,
like didn't
see?
occur to me.
Mm.
We have a theater that's walking distance from our house.
Ooh,
There's a
nice.
little button, and you just press it, and it will deliver cocktails to your seat.
Whoa.
Yeah, Alamo has that now too. There's a little button.
Whoa.
Fuck yeah. See,
Yeah.
and Shandy, you can also do that with your absentee ballot in California, but not here.
Yeah, you press a button, and Gavin Newsom shows up at your door, and
Personally.
you're like, here is your ballot.
He also has a beer and
Right,
a
right.
ballot
And a joint.
Right,
and
right.
a joint. He's like,
You know,
remember who made
hors
this
d'oeuvres
legal.
from French Laundry.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. That's a joke for just the Californians.
I got it. Someday.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. We went the Thursday before like official opening. There were a gaggle of lesbians and Kevin and I and like a straight couple, but like definitely not a packed theater at all. So I'm really happy to hear that you had a good crowd, Amanda.
It was packed.
Well, and to be fair, I went on a Tuesday night. So
I went on a
yeah.
Monday night, which is
Yeah.
like, the worst night. Because
Yeah.
restaurants are closed, so nobody's doing anything.
Yeah, to be fair, it was a Saturday 7:00 show. Like,
Yeah.
that's people are going. That's when you're going to a movie. If you're gonna go, that's when you're going.
Yeah.
True. For those of you living under a rock, the plot of Bros is basically like two men with commitment issues attempt a relationship. It does harken back to those like romantic comedies of like When Harry Met Sally
Yeah.
and You've Got
Yore.
Mail. It does feel like it feels classic. Like it's a rom-com set in New York in the fall. Like it does have like a lot of like those really classical elements to it. So it was just nice. There's so much controversy and chatter around like why it did or didn't do well. What it didn't do well, but a lot of people are saying it's being marketed as like the first LGBTQ rom-com, and people are like, well, what about Love, Simon? And what about this film? And what about that film? But a lot of it really just boils down to like, this is the first one with like an all LGBTQ cast, like a movie by the people for the people. And the thought process was like, they took chances on who the leads were going to be because they really wanted to have an all gay cast. So even people who play like the allies are actually members of like the LGBTQ community. And like,
Nice.
it just, it felt a little bit like a big, like intentional swing and a little bit of a miss. And I think like part of it comes down to the community as much as it comes down to Billy Eichner himself and a lot of things. But I'm excited to hear all of your perspectives on the movie.
And we're excited to hear yours.
Mine?
Love those
Little
like
old
a
me.
volley and a volley right back.
Oh,
No, you go. No, you go. You
no,
go.
I loved it. I have like never I've never felt more seen by a rom-com than I have with this movie. Um, Kevin and I are two gays of a certain age that also grew up in New York. And just happened to live in California. Like so much of it, I was like, "Ooh, I've lived this situation." I'm up until this month, I've been on the board of a local diversity center where like we literally have had people being like, well, there's not enough bi visibility and they don't get the money and you don't, oh, there's all these other, and it's like, so just seeing all these things play out like on screen, I was like, oh my God, this is my life in film form. Like I was texting with Colleen after she saw it, like literally down to the fact that like Kevin and I both take testosterone in different forms. Like literally, like these are all like real common like concepts that we go through, and conversations around like open and closed relationships and like the whole grinder experience when you're single.
Hey, what's up?
I think it was just sup.
I still have your location on my phone. I do. I only stalk you every couple of days. Don't worry.
Yeah, okay, so
Just check it, just to make sure you're okay.
minor backstory there. I came.
You don't have to tell the backstory if you don't want. I wasn't trying to open it to that.
I think
but
it's
okay.
a fun one. So I came to Raleigh for
The meetup.
for a meetup weekend. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to get in early and we'll see what happens. And Colleen was like, ooh, I have work and Jay has work. And Zach is going to be babysat. So like, you can sleep
took
on
a
the
red
couch
eye.
if you want.
I was like, yeah, go do your thing at my house. Go for it.
And this was also when there was a lot of like anti-trans legislation and the bathroom bill was going on. There's a lot of controversy going on. And so I hopped on the apps and I found myself a friend. and he was like, hey, come on over and bring some wine. And I was like, done and done.
And I was like, I went into mom mode and I was like, you better share your location with me in case you get murdered.
And I was just like, Colleen, I'm going to go do what your state does not approve of me doing right now.
You did say
like,
that, actually.
She's
I'm going to go break some laws.
What? And I was like, bye. He was a former professional figure skater.
That's right.
Oh my.
Who was then a physical therapist. And I had a wonderful time, and it was a great weekend overall.
Yeah. But you never stopped geotagging, so you're still there. Which I actually only discovered this past weekend when my sister Christy, she shared her location for something and like was, do I have you already? And I opened up the app and I was like, I don't have you, but I have Chris Kolk.
You're like, if you want to find out where he is, I can tell you right now.
He's at home.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just like, it was a cool experience. Like Kevin and I laughed out loud so much. We had such a good time in the theater. We really wish we had like a better crowd to laugh with, but
I think Jay had the best crowd to laugh with.
probably. Yeah, it was just like a really cool experience, and like I loved Fire Island too. Don't get me wrong. There's like comparison between that and Fire Island, but like,
oh yeah,
Fire Island coming out on streaming services, like I'm not a Fire Island gay. I am more of like a Palm Springs P-Town gay.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Fire Island wasn't my scene as much. And I think like the problem that's going on in the community about this movie right now, flames on the side of our face, just the hand gesture I'm making. The problem is like when there's so few films that actually represent a community, everyone puts so much pressure on it to be everything.
Yeah.
And this is like a weird, far-fetched connection, but I think of like what happened with Miss Marvel.
Oh yeah.
Miss
Yeah.
Marvel came out, and so many people were like, "This isn't my identity, and this isn't how like I don't see my experience in this show, and therefore it must be wrong, or therefore I must not support it." But that sort of like divisiveness, like, is kind of true to what's going on today, but is also something that we shouldn't require every movie and every show to meet every need of every community every time.
Yeah.
And this was a chance for people to kind of show up and say like, hey, I'm still going to put my money behind queer cinema the way that I have when, you know, it was a Love, Simon, or it was like another type of LGBTQ love story. And they just kind of didn't. Instead, they got mad at concepts of like, how come there isn't better representation from certain communities, or how come it's not a more diverse cast, or how come it's, you know, not marketed to gay people, but it seems really marketed to straight people, or like Billy Eichner's response was really kind of bold after the first weekend.
Oh, what was his? Oh,
What
yeah,
was his
yeah.
response? I missed that.
I like his Twitter feed, but yeah.
Yeah, so he immediately responded and was like, straight people didn't show up and see this movie because they're homophobic.
Yeah.
Like that was his sentiment. Like this is the reason why the movie failed. And so everybody was like, no, the movie failed because you're not a strong enough lead. No, the movie failed because like there's become like this giant discord around like why it didn't do well. It hasn't been like a box office success thus far. And I think like people don't always understand that like he's playing and acting in this film as much as Luke is.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
Who is very dreamy.
So
Oh my god, very dreamy. But like people don't realize like, oh, he's playing a character. People just go like, oh, it's Billy on the street. That must be you. That must be your personality.
Right.
Not like, oh, that's a bit and that's you acting, and oh, this is you acting too.
He wasn't even
And-
playing himself though. He was literally playing a different
Literally.
character. Like,
Yeah. But people just made an assumption of like, oh, it's
Yeah.
going to be the same shtick,
yeah.
you know?
Right. And I think that's always just the hard thing where you're the part of the creative team as well as the star. I think that's just like a universally trope, which, you know, for better or for worse.
Yeah. And then I know that there's also like the Guy Branum side of things and his perspective on it from as being one of the creators. And like, I think Collier, the one who kind of shared some of that info with me, right?
I shared some of that with you, and then Amanda shared a podcast interview he did, and then Shandy, I am 2 weeks behind Love It or Leave It. So was there something on Love It or Leave It as well involving this that I haven't heard? Okay.
No, I think it was mentioned that it didn't do well, but I can't remember in what context.
Okay, so there
Didn't
wasn't
really.
okay.
Yeah, it was just like a passing.
They didn't be like ba ba da ba da ba da ba gay news. This did bad.
No.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, gay news.
Yeah, way better than I did it.
Mine was just the McDonald's theme, so like it wasn't.
Well, it is a play on that. They're like ba gay
Oh, I always
news.
thought it was like the news desk. It's like do 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 do
So
do
did
do
I.
do. You know, this just did.
Oh, is that what it's supposed to be? See, it's
Sky is falling. Do 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 do.
interesting. We all heard it differently. I guess that's the whole point. Is a choose your own adventure song.
Hey.
Diversity.
Diversity.
Diversity. Big tent. Everyone's welcome.
And you meant that in the SpongeBob diversity way, right? Okay. Yeah, so Amanda, do you want to talk a little bit about what Guy Branum said? Oh, there we go.
Aww.
Everybody's favorite asexual.
Yeah. He's the A in LGBTQIA.
Yeah.
Nobody gets that.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Amanda?
Oh gosh. I listened to it a while ago, so I'm going to really, really mutilate.
Well, Kolkie and I can chime in too, and if Shandy, you listened.
I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, so really I'll set it up. So I have been listening to Into It with Sam Sanders. It is a show I very much recommend. I used to listen to his show when he was with NPR, and when he came over to Vulture, I sort of came along, and he had Guy Branum on, And that was sort of the first I had really actually heard of this movie was through that interview. And it was just a really interesting conversation. And it was Guy Branum really painted the story of how really a lot of thought went into making this movie, and how they really did not take they did not take lightly the position that they were in making this movie through the traditional Hollywood model and having the full force of a major studio behind them, and sort of the concessions that you have to make when you're playing in that arena.
Right.
And so I think it seemed to me as though they were very aware at the potential faults this movie had and where they felt their strengths were.
Right.
And we're just as self-aware as I think one can be when trying to make art
Right.
against the big machine of Hollywood.
Right. Because unfortunately, at the end of the day, it is still a business, and they're the ones financing it, and that sucks so bad that you have to play the game because you don't want to play the game.
Right.
But it sounds like they did the best they could, and we all know the extreme online left is going to always have an opinion.
Right. And I think they were aware that that was going to happen, that there were people that were going to just hate it because it didn't go far enough. And I think maybe they underestimated just how hard that backlash was going to be. But it's like how at a certain point, how hard can you prepare for the worst, hope for the best? I think
right. And like most things that are and obviously maybe Kolkie can speak more about this within the community itself, is honestly the backlash that happened online did not really bleed into the real world. Like when my parents are here, when we went to dinner and I was, explaining the movie to them, I was like, yeah, Kolkie's going to join us because it's a gay rom-com, and obviously none of us really, had the experience to speak to that. And like most people don't even have any idea of what it's about. And the controversy wasn't such that it even made it into like conservative media circles.
Yeah.
So it did seem like it was more contained, but unfortunately, that didn't do it any favors with word of mouth or better marketing or anything like that. I did listen to some podcast where they mentioned it briefly, and they said that they thought it would have done better if it was streaming, because people go to the movies nowadays to see Marvel action movies, and they stay home to stream rom-coms.
That's fair, honestly.
Yeah. So if we were to like write a dissertation about this, like the four big themes are kind of like not enough big star appeal, but that was a conscious decision.
Yeah.
And
the biggest star was what? Dot Marie Jones, and the dean from Community.
Yeah. And so like they even said like, yeah, we could have pulled like a Chris Evans into this.
Was that her name?
Oh.
Did I get her name wrong? Sorry. Keep going.
But we actively chose not to.
Yeah.
We chose to have it be like an all LGBTQ named cast. And like Luke came out in 2008, and then has been stuck in like Hallmark land since then, which was funny. Like Kevin's mom was like, "Oh, I love him in all the Hallmark movies. You should go see this movie."
I loved their Hall. What do they call it? Hallmart or something.
Oh, that's right. The fake Hallmark channel.
And I was like, I feel like I've seen a couple of those Christmas movies that they're mocking.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was Sherry Jones, not Cherry Jones. I apologize. I had her name wrong, and I realized it as soon as I said it.
No, good call. What was it, a very Polly Christmas or a Polly Jolly Christmas? Or
A Polly Jolly Christmas. Oh my god, it was so funny.
I love how it started, like the movie started like a little bit gay, and then just got like progressively like more interesting.
Sorry, okay,
involved.
dissertation. Sorry.
No. It's like so there's like that piece of like we didn't have named celebrities, do people go to theaters for rom-coms, period?
Yeah.
Was it gay enough for the LGBTQ community? Was it diverse enough?
Yeah.
And then like, was it too gay for mainstream media? And so like,
really impossible
yeah,
balance to find.
and there were certain people who were like, oh, well, it just wasn't marketed right. And they're like, we don't control the marketing. Like it
Yeah.
comes from a big studio. So the studio controls the marketing.
Yeah.
So like, they don't get to say like, oh, it's an ensemble cast. They don't get to say what the poster looks like. They don't get to show what the trailer gets cut as. Like,
yeah, I saw the
all that is
poster
the
and I was
genes.
not a super big fan of it.
I'm actually not even sure I've seen the poster, to be honest.
It's just the two dudes.
yeah.
Well, the poster I saw was the two dudes. It's like their butts, and they're each like grabbing each other's butt.
Oh, I didn't even see
Oh,
that
that's-
poster.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's terrible marketing.
yeah, yeah.
I saw the two of them, and it literally could have been like American Pie. Like there was nothing. Yeah, like I no, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I agree. So people were like, ooh, I don't know if it was even marketed in the right way. So like all of these things are like points of failure or potential points of failure.
Yeah.
And so like if you have one against you, let alone like all of them, you know,
Mhm.
woof.
Yeah.
I did like Guy Branum did kind of say like he liked how he was characterized in the film and like the role that he played. He liked the fact that like it did show a lot of like very, very much like what gay culture is like.
Yes.
Like they went into like debates that people have around the table. Literally, like we had this conversation with Kevin's parents around like, at what age do you talk about the LGBTQ community?
Mhm.
And like, this was like a big thing going on in Jersey where like people were I just lost my word. They're petitioning to not have transgender like elements taught to kids
Mhm.
at a certain age. And so they were like, at what age is okay? What age is appropriate? And like,
It's
we
like,
had a
at
perspective
what
and they had a
age-
perspective.
Yeah. At what age is it okay to teach about straight people? Like,
Right.
Right.
And like our perspective is like the earlier the sooner. Like the earlier you have the conversation, the more they just go like, okay.
Yeah.
mhm.
Right.
Kids are like they totally like they do, you know, at Alex's age they're very much like, okay, cool. Zach's age they hear different things, and you know, gay doesn't faze him, but like, you know, certain I'm struggling.
OMG.
I'm struggling to think of an example right now, but even
my gay.
Oh,
I'm struggling to think of an example right now, but there was an issue. There was something Zach recently, and he asked the question, and he was like, well, that can't be blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, why not? Of course it can. And he was like, oh. And, you know, if you facilitate, like, an open speaking relationship with your kids, like, you know, they're going to come to you, and they're going to say something they heard at school because they think their friends know everything. And then you just be like, well, why not? And, you know. And they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, okay, cool."
Yeah.
Right,
So
yeah.
Kevin's niece had a play date over, and the mom was a little bit more conservative than we're accustomed to. And the little girl came over to Amy, Kevin's sister-in-law, and was like, "Hildy just said that it's okay for two girls to get married. Like two girls can get married." And Amy just went, that's 100% correct. Two men could get married, and two women could get married, and a man and woman could get married.
Yeah.
Like, and just like did not care, like did not even let the parent have a minute, but just was like, there you go. Like, I'm taking this moment and I'm teaching these kids.
Yep, I
Mhm.
love that.
You know, because like it is just so easy in that sense, you know?
Yeah.
Right. It's not that little kids are impressionable, it's that their minds are open.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like these are like some of the things that the movie talks about. So like they do try to like seep in like culture and knowledge and education while also being a rom-com. Like it does try to do a lot all at one time.
Yeah.
I think it does a
and-
fairly good job because I
Girl, me
learned a
too.
bit about the culture that I didn't know.
Same.
I even
did- I
asked
will
you, I was
say-
like, do you get roidy? Do you get ragey? And
there were a couple of parts where it felt a little didactic, but I was like, I understand why. That's
because
fine.
it's still a
We're just
rom-com
gonna
at
go
the
with
end.
it.
Yeah.
Right, but when you
Well,
think about it in the
because,
larger
like,
trope of
depending
like
on who
rom-coms and like the rom-com area. It's like rom-coms are always cheesy, and like that's kind of what we love about them is that they
Right.
always go a little too far. So in that way, it felt like genre appropriate.
Yeah,
I
I
just felt
kind of
like
agree.
didactic in the sense that
Oh,
they
yeah.
like are teaching their audience, because a lot of their audience is not gonna come from the community, so they're like
But
having to
honestly,
teach them these things, and it's like,
I didn't
yeah,
think that was
got
so
it, but that's
terrible.
fine. No, I
Yeah.
did, that's what I'm saying. It felt a little bit like I was being taught to, but I was like, this is like, I didn't actually have a problem with it. I'm just saying, like, it was a little bit like that, but it's probably good for the overall like viewing public.
I think so too, because honestly, like I think for whatever flaws you could say it had, it really actually I think kind of did move the ball, because at the end of the day, it did just present everything as normal. Like
Yep.
every conversation was presented as normal. Nothing was scandalous. Like there was a scene. There was the scene where what's his face's character, Bobby, Billy Eichner's character, accompanies him to the threesome, and he's just sitting there and like it was just everything was very, like, it wasn't even scandalous. Like, it was funny. Like, it was a funny moment, and like it didn't like pass judgment on anything within like the community. It presented like, this is I learned things that I culturally just wouldn't have known, and I appreciated that too, to be honest. And then I do think that it might, 10 years from now, we might look back and be like, yeah, that movie did open doors for things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I totally wonder, like in the coming years, maybe what the reception will be, because there are plenty of movies that don't necessarily do well at the box office, then like a couple of years later they're like cult classics. So
Yeah, I'm almost 40, and so like
We're
there
all the
is
same age. We're all 84
Yeah.
babies.
we're
Congratulations
all
on
almost
being
cougars.
the third youngest person on this podcast. You're fine.
but like Kevin's 7 or 8 years younger than I am. He's a 91 kid.
Yeah.
And so like there's a really big difference between like how I consume gay media and how he consumes gay media.
Really? Because
For
he's still a
me-
millennial. Just we're old millennials, and he's just solid millennial.
Yeah, but like it was really portrayed like as we were growing up as like a little bit more seedy, or it was like the character who was always like just the butt of the joke, or it was always like something to be shameful of, like, and he grew up in like the Glee era,
Right.
of like, oh, it's on TV and it's great and it's mainstream and like everybody in high school is great, and okay for people to come out. And that's just not the experience that I had.
Wasn't that also a
And-
joke in the movie? Where like
A
we
little-
had something, they had Glee.
A little bit, yeah. and like
Totally.
and like that's so just for like this movie to exist is a big deal, because like if I was a kid in high school to like be able to go to see like a gay rom-com, like even if it is like a characterization of the community, it's still groundbreaking. Like that like there is just like a whole new generation that's gonna be like, I could see a version of our community on screen that like isn't bad acting and isn't badly produced and isn't low budget and isn't like, because like a lot of those gay films for a long time were like, as good as they were, like they were just like really low budget and Q-list actors and people that nobody knew. So
Or
like,
cannibals.
yeah, like this holds like a really cool place in history,
Yeah.
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 I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed it.
did.
I was just very impressed at just how it was just felt like a normal movie going experience, like, which I think is really helpful. I mean, again, I can only, as a straight cis person, like, I don't know, I feel like it's helpful for people, because I was telling my coworker about it, and she grew up, in a very conservative household, and she, is 28, so she is more open-minded and whatnot, but she gets uncomfortable about things. So I was like, I think this is a great movie for you and your girlfriends to see. You might be uncomfortable at certain parts because it's not, something you're used to seeing on screen, but I really think that you guys would really enjoy it at the end, because at the end of the day, it's truly like a Hallmark movie, a J-Lo movie, but just with
Mm.
two gay people. Like it's very much. I said it's not. It's like going to be a very normal experience for you to watch. Like So hopefully they go see it. She's like, okay, well we'll probably go see it.
It was also just like a nice reminder that like going to see a rom-com in a theater is enjoyable. And as we were saying earlier, how statistically these type of movies in this current media landscape might do better streaming. It did remind me that in the Sam Sanders interview that Guy Branum had brought up how like it was a conscious decision to not go that route and go straight to streaming and to go into theaters
That says a
because
statement too.
yeah, because it's like they could have gone that route and yeah, maybe they would have done better, but like there is something to be said about going to see a romantic comedy in a theater that like you can't relate to a Marvel movie. Like that's not anyone's life experience ever. But a rom-com always has some basis in reality, even if it's not necessarily your lived experience. It is someone's, or it's someone and you can relate to it in some way. And like the genre will live forever, and it should be something we should go see in a theater because it is just as enjoyable. And I think that's what made me want to go see it in the theater, because it's like, right. I do like to eat popcorn in a dark theater and watch movies I can relate to that don't have green people or flying people or talking critters. Like it was just on that note alone, it was great.
Yeah.
It was like, right, this is an experience I enjoy having, and it doesn't matter like who the two love interests are. Like the movie itself is universal in certain ways.
It was like it had all the elements. It had
Mhm.
The hot dude, the love story, the should they, shouldn't they, okay, let's do this. Then they have the fight, which when it was coming, I was like to Jay, I was like, no, he's gonna blow it all. It's gonna be so awkward. Oh my god, stop, he's gonna go to the hockey dude. No, stop. What is he doing? And Jay was just like, shut up. And I was like, I can't, I'm so anxious for him. I just see it happening in real life. It's just terrible. Shut up. Why does he keep talking? Just stop it. He's getting so mad at him.
Jay's just shushing you the whole time. He's like,
he was just
this
like,
girl in the theater.
I know. He was like, oh my God, can we get somebody else in this theater so she'll be quiet? But I also, but then, it had the fight, and then it had like the montages of them being lonely. And then, they got their big grand gesture at the end, which is also hilarious,
Yeah.
But, there was one scene, though, that really stuck out to me, which I really think is something that is truly like talking about like my more conservative coworker and her friends that are more open-minded about LGBTQ plus stuff. Oh, where they might see a movie, they might, be like, don't raise my taxes or something, but like, gay marriage is cool. Kind of thing that most Americans have landed on. Is that wonderful scene with his brother where he's talking to his brother who just got divorced at the end. He's just like, well, and they're having like an honest conversation like you would have with a family member in any rom-com. And the brother's clearly like, straight dude, just got divorced, and he's just sitting there talking to him like it's no big deal. And I feel like a lot of men might like straight cis men might still be awkward about having conversations like that in general with like whether they're gay, straight, bi, whatever friends. It was just so wonderful to just see like just an honest conversation between two brothers, and then still ended with the really funny punchline at the end, like any rom-com.
No, I loved that scene too, because it was a fun bait and switch where like you're sort of led to assume that the brother is uncomfortable talking about it, and that's why they're not talking about it. And then he's like, well, you haven't even asked me any questions. And she's like, dude, I'm in the middle of a divorce and you haven't even asked me how I'm doing. Like,
yeah.
It's a nice little bait and switch there.
Yeah.
But I like that.
Which was fair. Yeah.
Like a good show of acceptance and how we all communicate with each other, and maybe what we think take one way is just somebody else feeling a different way. So I I really like that scene. And I was really like happy to watch it play out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this reminded me of just like a shower thought I had today. I was just like prepping for tonight.
You prep for
Like,
us in the shower? Oh my god.
of course, I cleaned up. I used some Nair, just in case.
Oh my.
I douche.
For us?
Just for the three of you,
OMG.
and for Gabby, of course, and
Oh
for
my
Gabby.
gay. Yes.
Oh my
OMG.
Oh, see, that's Gabby's the G in OMG.
So
Oh,
many
Sorry,
G's.
Gab. Sorry, Gab. Oh,
Because it all could be oh my Giordano. I mean, really. It's just so
Yeah,
many G's.
look at that.
Oh my Gladfelder.
Oh, see?
Oh my god! Wow, it applies to us all.
OMG is universal. Like when I first heard about this movie, the way that it was being sold, or like the way it was being thought about, was like there's all of these like movies about coming of age and what happens and the high school drama and there was all of that, but like there's never been, oh hi Amanda, it's you also have a kitten. Sorry, I got distracted by cats easy.
Yeah, hi buddy.
Captain has made an appearance. I repeat.
Yeah,
has
Captain
made an
very
appearance.
rarely makes an appearance these days.
Oh, so cute. Sorry, I'm very distracted. Just like knocked my ADHD out of control because I was like, cat.
Welcome to the broadcast.
Yeah, fair. And so like there's always these coming of age movies, but like they stop there. It's like, oh, you came out and then what? And it's like,
Yeah.
this is the first time that there was really like a film about the and then what? Like he's later in life, he's like, past his 30s, he's not a young kid anymore, neither of the leads are. And I was like, it's no different than like Sex in the City coming out and being a group of women of a certain age living in New York and people being like, well, that doesn't explain what it's like to be in your 20s and be a woman in New York. And then Girls came out. Like it just like it makes me think of like all of like it just opens that conversation to be like there's other stories here to tell.
Yeah.
Like this is just one look at one lens of one story, but there's all of these out there. There's a spectrum of stories still to be told.
Right. And I think that was part of Guy Brannon's point where if you want more stories to be told, you have to show Hollywood there is money to be made in telling these stories. If you're cutting your nose off to spite your own face, if you're just going to protest it because some people relate to it and you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Captain just muted Amanda by accident. She's got a face. I don't know what's going on.
I also don't know. He like just made the screen very big and now I can't see you guys.
It's a catastrophe.
It's a catastrophe. Someone call the Paw Patrol.
He like zoomed in and all I could see was like the fact that I was muted. Like the nav bar was like all I could see.
Oh my God, Captain launched nuclear missiles. I can't believe. Oh my God. Who knew he had the codes?
He's a big guy. He's he throws his weight around well.
Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, sorry. But yes, as you were saying, Kolkie, I completely agree. Like,
all in all, how would you rate it as we button this up?
As we button this up, and then we'll take a commercial break, and then we've got some feedback. I would rate it. I would give it out of stars or 10 or 10.
Out of men. We'll do it out of
men.
yeah.
How many men?
Right. 1 to 5 men. How many men do you give?
Okay. 4.5. I love a rom-com. I had a great time, honestly. I literally got to shout things at the screen the entire time. I no notes for my viewing experience.
Amanda?
Yeah, I would give it 4 men.
I'm gonna not use the same scale.
Okay.
Just like in Survivor a couple episodes ago. I'm just gonna rate it fun. I thought it was fun. I'm not like a huge rom-com fan. But I thought it was fun. It was a fun movie.
And I will give it 4.5 rainbows.
Ooh.
Just to continue the So it's It's good. It's good and it's gay.
It's
Good
good,
and
and
it's
it's
gay.
gay. Woohoo! All right. Well, if anybody sees the movie after this or has seen it and hasn't sent in any feedback, let us know what you thought. Thebroadcasters3@gmail.com or give us a call 331-276-2373. All right. We are going to take a quick break and then we will be back. All right. We are back. We are ready to get into some feedback. We're going to do a little bit of an abbreviated feedback this week because we're running a little bit long and I am not editing this episode, which is probably going to give me anxiety of some sort at some point, but oh well. All right. First bit of feedback is from Matt, and he says, fun fact, Molly Kearney, who is one of the supporting cast members of A League of Their Own, the TV show, will become the first non-binary cast member of SNL this season.
Very cool.
Very cool. Randy, going back to Shandy's story about the copperhead in her yard, says, people have an unfounded irrational fear of snakes. I average seeing one rattlesnake per visit to the Grand Canyons in the non-winter months. Grand Canyon pink rattlesnake, endemic to the Grand Canyon. And he posted a bunch of pictures. I was like, whoa, that's a lot of snakes. You weren't playing.
And
when you said that.
it's like, I get it. People don't die of like of snake bites, and when they do, I think in the Grand, I went to a
snake
talk.
bites they do.
Right. Well, no, but I went to a talk. I remember at the Grand Canyon, actually, there was a ranger like did a whole program on snakes, and it was like the statistics was like one person a year dies of snake, being like bit by a snake, but it wasn't that they're just like hiking along and then come upon a snake. No, it's like some dumbass like saw a snake and went after it and like caught it and was like holding it, and it's like stuff like that. So I get it. It's not that.
I think part of what makes snakes scary is a lot of the times you don't see them.
Yeah. I would say just for me in particular is that my cat is 15 and a half pounds.
And that's not great.
That is not an unfounded or irrational fear.
Yes. Jessica said, you guys mentioned stories about people that have had close calls. I kind of remember the book Colleen mentioned on Mysterious Universe. That was the one about the 9/11 premonition stories where the guy like was in the stairwell or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Jessica said, do you know that Seth MacFarlane of Family Guy was supposed to be on flight 11 on 9/11? He had a hangover and was given the wrong flight time. He got to the airport 15 minutes too late to board.
Wow.
I know. I did not know that, and that is crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
I do have a story from many years ago. The first time I ever drove to Chicago for a concert, my friend and I were coming back and got lost trying to get on the freeway. Finally figured it out, and when we were about 30 minutes from home, we saw a horrible accident. I later found out everyone died from a drunk driver hitting them. The accident happened about 20 minutes prior to us getting to that spot, which was the exact time it took me to get unlost and find the freeway. I also found out that it was a family from my hometown with connections to me. The dad worked with my mom at some point. The mom worked with my aunt. Their daughter's friend that was with them lived across the street from my best friend. I still get chills whenever I pass that spot. So that's my story. Also, the She-Hulk finale was awesome. I am so excited to go watch it. And that is crazy, Jess.
It's a good thing that this happened long enough ago that there wasn't GPS. Because it's like now, people don't really get lost. Like,
oh, yeah.
your phone just tells you like how to go there.
I still get lost if you miss a turn and she's like recalculating.
Okay,
Turn here, and you're
fair.
like, I don't know.
That's fair, but like, wow, that's haunting.
Yes. Let's see. Aaron says, I finished the last episode and meant to send in feedback on Romeo and Juliet. It might be the movie I've seen the most in my teen years beside 10 Things. I was obsessed with Claire Danes from My So-Called Life, and my high school bestie and I were in love with Leo.
Yes.
I felt my heart break when Call said she came around to it and Amanda didn't think it held up. Ha ha ha. The music, the chemistry between Leo and Claire, that angel wings costume, the fish tank scene, the colors, the acting done in just the right way that made Shakespeare understandable.
Yes.
It remains one of my favorites.
Yes. Thank you, Aaron.
Matt says, for this month's assignment, Hocus Pocus is on Disney+, Beetlejuice is on HBO Max, as well as ABC and Freeform with a cable subscription and rentable through the usual sources. Another Hogwarts professor in the Shakespeare movies, Professor Sprout, was the nurse on Romeo and Juliet.
Wow.
was indeed.
Yeah.
Other cast trivia: Julia Stiles' roommate in O was played by Rain, Phoenix, River, and Joaquin's sister. Actually, we did talk about that, but for time, I cut the whole thing out because it never went anywhere.
Ah,
I was like, oh, this is an easy 2 minutes to cut. So we actually did mention that. I also saw Bros, which was really good. Ultimately, it followed the rom-com formula, but you could tell they put a lot of thought and care into it. It was also good to see a comedy in the theater, which has sadly fallen out of fashion.
Hey,
oh
that's
my
what
God.
I'm saying.
I hadn't read this comment before I talked about it, so we just had great minds thinking alike.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of this, we have 2 voicemails from Greg. All right, here we go.
Hey, Amanda, Shandy, and Colleen. This is Greg. I'm just calling in with some feedback on the always controversial topic of this or that. I guess I'll say it that way. So I've actually been thinking about an aspect of this for a while, and I'm going to dive into the new stuff you guys brought up recently. So the whole sock shoe thing, or sock shoe. I know that we've already talked about that, but an aspect of it that has occurred to me is, so my question would be then, regardless of whether you do sock shoe or sock shoe, whatever, what foot do you put on first? Like, which one do you put the sock on or the shoe on first? For me, the socks, it doesn't really seem to matter, but the shoes, for some reason, when I put on my shoes, it is, for some reason, important to me that I start with my left foot. I don't know why. But do you start with your left or right? I want to know. As for button zipper, I kind of have a third option. I don't actually ever really unbutton or zipper my pants, at least in terms of taking them off and on. So neither. They're always buttoned and zippered when I take them off and on. So I'm kind of that weird third option. Shirts and pants. So I do have a very specific reasoning for how I do this. So if I'm going to be tucking in the shirt, I'm putting the shirt on first and then pants. If I'm not going to be tucking in, I will do pants and then shirt. Now, as far as brushing before or after the shower, in general, I would do everything before the shower at the sink. So anything I'm doing at the sink, I do before, if I can do it before. Because when you get out of the shower, it's all humid and gross, and if you stand there too long, you may get a little sweaty, so it's best to get out of there right away, in my opinion. So I do everything before. So I would brush before the shower. What I take out first when I get home, super easy, is shoes, because here in Florida, I don't believe I even know what a jacket is anymore. So that's never a thing. So it's definitely shoes every time. Now, whether you shave before or after, now this has been controversial, I believe, in the past, because some people say after the shower, like it's supposed to be better, but I've always done it before, because I feel like I feel better when I'm able to wash off the shaving gel that I use, like the leftover feel of it. So I shave before every time. Now, as for emails, this one's very particular to me now, and I've done it different ways over the years. So this is what I do at work now.
Oh boy.
Is an email comes in. If I'm not busy at the moment, I will read it, and then if I don't need to do anything about it, I immediately file it away into a folder. If it's something that I'm going to need to respond to or do.
Oh, hold please. Sorry. Let me press play on the second part. Here we go.
Hey, Brad, this is Greg again, part 2. Pretty sure I got cut off during the email stuff. So when the email comes in, if I don't need to do anything about it, I file it away into a folder. If I have to do something, I flag it. That way, when I look at my inbox later, I can see what's flagged and easily know what I have to follow up on. That seems to work best for me. And then once I'm done with it, I mark it as complete and then file it away as well out of my inbox. The goal is to keep my inbox as filled as little as possible. That way I don't have a ton of emails I have to scroll through all the time. I only keep what I have to act on in there. So sometimes I have no emails in my inbox. Everything has been filed away and completed.
That's the dream.
It's pretty rare these days. It's been busy. But, yeah. And then in terms of whether it's read or unread, I don't care personally at this point. I used to care about that. But now, because sometimes when I'll read the email and it'll be selected, then I'll file it away and it'll still stay unread. So I just stopped caring about that because I know that anything that says unread on the left side of that screen is going to be something that I've already seen, and anything I need to do has already been flagged and completed at that point. So it's not a big deal to me. Hood, hat, or umbrella. Umbrella for sure if it's raining. I don't think a hood really does that much beyond keeping your head dry, I guess. I mean, I guess it's better than nothing, but again, Florida, I'm not wearing anything with hoods. It's
It's
too
a
hot.
hair thing.
And the hat,
Fair.
I guess the hat
Yeah.
does a little bit too, at least keeping maybe the rain out of your face. But in Florida, honestly, I don't think it would even matter, so I don't wear hats, no. In terms of working out, when I do work up the effort to work out, I prefer earlier in the day. I just feel like if I don't do it early, if I put it off till later in the afternoon or evening, I will just not do it. So earlier in the day is always better for me. And I think that was everything that you guys asked about, so I'm going to go now, especially since I'm already on part 2. So hope you guys had a good week. Have a good night. Have a good rest of your week. And, yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
I was just gonna say that.
expecting that. Like, not the same person, yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
Yes, he answered the call.
He did.
You sure did.
I don't. So only like 2 things stuck out at me. A, I don't start with a certain side for shoes.
Really?
I think probably I
either.
just gravitate more to right, but I don't think I start with a side. Do you?
I pretty much always start with the left because I'm left-handed.
Hmm.
I assumed everyone started with their dominant side.
I think
Feels weird to start
I was
with the.
gonna
I
say,
can start with the right, but it feels weird.
I start with the right now because I was like, oh no, I don't have a side. But now that I think about it,
I
and I'm
don't-
left-handed.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a
Then-
side. I'm gonna pay more attention.
Well, lefties are like, we're in a different box altogether because, like, even if you're not truly ambidextrous, I feel like growing up left-handed, there are certain things that you're just taught how to do right-handed. So, you know what I mean? Like, you become stronger in certain things, but it's not because you're necessarily ambidextrous. So I
Well, 'cause I
I
think
would
when
put
I,
an
like-
asterisk for all lefties. Like,
Yeah. I'm
Hashtag not all lefties.
Because I think maybe I like the like cross body of like using your left
Oh.
hand to like. So maybe
Uh-huh.
that's why.
okay, so like when you put on mascara, which eye do you start with? And do
think
you
I
do the
start
crossover or do you change hands?
I think I start with the left. Hold on, now I gotta think about it. I do crossover. I do.
You change hands?
I change hands. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I change hands.
Yeah. I think it's crazy when people do a crossover. It
Yeah,
looks
well,
it
'cause
looks
it's like-
dangerous.
Also, you can't get your inner lashes. You're like denying yourself a full set of
Yeah.
lashes because there's just like no comfortable way to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I do have to actually act it out to really like get the full scope of what it is that we're talking about.
As a righty, I never have to think about any of this.
No, of course you wouldn't.
This show just really is showing my privilege on all.
Right-handed should be its own category. That's terribly insensitive. No, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's like ultimately it's fine though, because I feel like lefties are better than your average right-handed person with using their weaker side, just
Yeah.
overall.
I agree.
Yeah.
So it kind of
Because you're forced to
it's kind
adapt
of a
more.
strength, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy being left-handed.
Yeah. And then, Greg, I don't relate to you with emails whatsoever.
I do. I try and net out for the day. I get it.
Oh, I used to do that at my previous job, but I think I overall got just very fewer emails. I would like sometimes get my inbox completely cleaned out, and it's wild.
No, if
It's like
not
the most
marked
satisfying
unread-
thing. Now I
If it's not marked unread, I won't remember to go back to it the next day.
oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I have to do that, but like it's never. And sometimes like if I've dealt with it, I'll delete it, but then some of them I won't delete because I've dealt with it, but like I might want to reference it later. If I have to search for information, like, so I just
Mhm.
keep it, so then it's really only when my inbox is too full that I might just like,
Yeah.
Not still some
He
stuff,
me-
but,
oh,
yeah.
he meant like it's actually zeroed with emails.
I think that was
Oh
his
yeah,
goal.
no. Oh, forget
Oh,
about
I
that.
thought he
don't
meant
I don't delete anything.
unread. Oh no, I have to keep too many.
Oh, it's the most satisfying thing ever, but I feel like in today's day and age, it's
Yeah.
just impossible.
No,
Cool.
I don't.
Well,
unless
thank you
they're, like,
again, Greg.
absolutely superfluous.
Yeah. All right. We have a bunch more emails and feedback, but we are running long. It's late and I am trying to do this without editing and it's starting to make me twitch a little bit. So, we have an email from Joanne. Let's read Joanne's email and then we'll save everything else for next week.
Sounds good.
Okay. Does
Cool.
anybody want to read it since I've done a lot of reading? Or see, this is the stuff that always gets cut out, and here we are.
Here we are.
Do you want to read it, Amanda, or do you
I
want me
can
to?
read it. Yeah, I can
Okay.
take it. Okay, our good friend Joanne. Joanne with a plan. I'm back, she says.
Woohoo!
And
Hey,
we're
hey.
glad to have ya. All right. In January, I slipped on the ice and broke a wrist bone and, more importantly, tore a ligament. Oh, God. For months, I was limited in activity as I went through 2 surgeries and 6 months of rehab. Oh,
Damn.
my God, Joanne, I'm so sorry. Combined more recently with my mother's death, oh, my God.
Oh.
She was 96, and there's a lot of estrangement involved that ended up with much more activity on my part than expected. All in a good way. I fell far behind in podcast listening time. One of the casualties was the broadcast and the Ramblecast After Dark. But I am back. I decided to pick up with the end of August shows and hope to catch up soon. I miss listening to you all, and I'm glad to be back.
Yay.
Yay, we're glad to have you. Hope I did not miss anything momentous in the interim.
Nobody had any
One-
more babies since you've been gone.
Oh, no, indeed we did not. One thing I did.
Shandy
in the
moved,
meantime-
actually.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
That
That's
is
true.
momentous.
It was after August. Although I guess it moved in August. Well, anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All
Sorry.
in good time. All in good time, friend. One thing I did in the meantime is start a personal blog, which includes details of my happenings since January. Anyway, time to ramble and broadcast along. Joanne with a plan.
Nice.
Joanne.
Welcome back, Joanne.
Welcome back. If you guys haven't checked out Joanne's blog, definitely check it out. It's a very good read.
Nice.
Nice.
Definite plug for that.
Yeah. Rhinotalk.blog.
Yeah, sorry, I totally skipped over the actual name of the blog.
Yeah, Rhino, RHINO talk. Dot.
Not R-I-N-O.
Yeah.
Yes,
Trust
the
me.
correct spelling. All one
Nobody's
word.
accusing Joanne of being a Republican in name only.
Yeah, no one's accusing John of being a Republican in any form.
No, I don't think so. In any case, sorry, your year was pretty rough.
I know, I'm
we
so
miss
sorry.
you.
And it's good to have
You're
you
welcome
back.
It's
Yeah.
great to have you back.
Yes, welcome back.
Welcome back. All right, thank you to everybody for that submitted feedback today. We will get to the rest of it next week, I promise. I think. I don't promise anything. I make no promises, but we will get to it. Thank you
It's a
all.
great problem to have,
It's
though.
a great problem to have.
Thank
I
you for
love
your
when we have this
feedback.
problem.
Yes, we love it.
Big shout out to Chris Kolk
Yes.
for coming on and talking about the movie. I think we had a really great discussion. If you'd like to give us any feedback, again, it's thebroadcasters3@gmail.com, or you can give us a call 331-276-2373. Thank you to the patrons, especially the ones that contribute to a certain level, and that would be Eckhart Rigner-Tack from France, Joanne with a plan, Ed the Creepy Mailman, and Maggie the Magnificent. I switched that one up a little bit.
Love
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. If you'd like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/JandJack. I believe we are going to have a patron bonus show recorded within the next couple of weeks for the $5 level. So stay tuned for that. I know we've missed a couple of months. We've got a big backlog of stuff that I have been saving up for it. So stay tuned for that. Next week, we'll be talking about Halloween movies. The following week, on October 25th, Tuesday, we will be having our annual Zoom costume party. So I hope that you will get a costume and join us. And then on November 8th, we will be doing our November theme show. And we're doing a little bit differently this next month. We are excited that we will be joined by Melody Simpson, the founder of Melanin in YA Young Adult Fiction. It's a campaign she started and website to bring more recognition and attention to Black young adult fiction. I just say young adult fiction. I'm like the young people thing.
The youths.
The youths. So check out the website if you want to beforehand, but we are excited to have her come and talk to us about that and make some good reading recommendations. So,
Awesome.
yay, because I read a book. I read a whole book,
Yay!
and I really liked
Nice.
it. So
Good
there's
job.
that.
Nice.
I finished that Wrong Place, Wrong Time book. It was like 400 pages. It took me forever, but I
Nicely
read it,
done.
and I loved it.
Outrageous.
Yeah, Anyway, that's not the kind of books that Melody's going to be talking to us about, and that's good because we need to expand outside of our box. This was about British people. And time travel. It was about British people and time travel.
Nice.
Anyway, on that note, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week. On that note, my name is Colleen.
My name is Amanda.
And I'm Shandy.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.